everyone. Today on Let's Eat Healthy, we're going to be making a crispy tofu sweet potato bowl. I've deconstructed a sweet potato sushi roll into a colorful and delectable bowl. See you in the kitchen. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Okay, let's get started with our crispy tofu sweet potato bowl. So I'm going to go through the ingredients and they should pop up at the bottom of the screen. If they don't, please feel free to go down to the description and click on the recipe link, print it out, follow along if you'd like. The first thing you're going to need is a block of tofu, firm to extra firm. I choose extra firm, I like the texture better. You're also going to need about 1/3 of a cup of cornstarch or arrowroot powder. I'm using arrowroot powder. Gonna need about a cup of rice. You can use whatever rice you'd like. I prefer to go on the healthier side, which is brown rice or black. Today I'll use brown. Now I know this is a sweet potato recipe, but I'm kind of a yam girl, so you just need about 1 medium to large sweet potato or yam. You're going to need about 1/2 cup of edamame beans, and you can find these in your grocer's freezer. I did steam these, so they're ready to go. You can serve them warm or chilled. You're going to need 4 tablespoons of mayonnaise. I use a vegan mayonnaise. Chipotle, I use Cholula, but you can use whatever you'd like. You're going to need about 2 tablespoons of chipotle. You need about 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. Between 2 and 3 green onions. I think I used 3 in this recipe. It's just going on top. Depends on how much you like green onions. As well, you're gonna need purple cabbage or red cabbage. You need about 1/2 cup of shredded. You're gonna need 1 avocado, beautifully ripe, ready to go right on top of it. You're also gonna need some soy sauce or tamari. I use tamari because it's gluten-free. You're also going to need a ginger sesame spice blend. Now this recipe is also in the description below. However, if you haven't had time to make it yet, that's okay. If you've got some toasted sesames and a little bit of ginger, you can totally use it as we're going along. The last ingredient you're going to need is about 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. So that's everything for our ingredients. I'm going to prep everything and I'll be back in just a few minutes. Great, now that I have everything prepped, we're going to preheat the oven to 450, which I've already done. And the most important thing we want to do, because it takes about 20 minutes, is start the rice. It might take a little less, a little longer, depending on what way you cook rice. I have a rice cooker, so that's what I'm going to do today. Normally the rice ratio is about 2 to 1. Today I'm going to make a little bit more. So I'm going to use 2 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. For this exact recipe, you're going to be wanting 1 cup of water to 1/2 cup of rice. I find we eat a little more rice, so I like to make a little bit extra. So again, there's 2 cups of water. Sometimes I'll even use homemade veggie stock, but today I'm just going to use water. So there's the 2 cups of water. I've already pre-measured the 1 cup of rice. Just going to pour it in there. Start this thing up. All right, our rice is cooking. So yay, we got that out of the way. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is actually work on the tofu. So one thing you wanna be aware of is that when you open a tofu, it's got liquid in it. So you wanna make sure that it's over something where the liquid can drain out of. I'm just going to drain it into a bowl for now. And then just carefully pull it out of the package. This is my garbage bowl. And what I'm going to do is take a few paper towels and we're going to actually press it to take as much water out that we can. So it just takes a little bit of pressing. It's not hard at all. Just to dry it a little bit. That's the other reason I like to buy firm tofu as well. All right, so that's good enough. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna actually cut this into some cubes, just bite-sized cubes, okay? And I also take it and go like crossways as well. Turn it back over. And these are going to make some really nice bite-sized cubes. Okay, those are done. I'm going to grab a bowl. I'm going to put all the tofu in the bowl. And then I'm going to grab about 1/3 cup of arrowroot powder or cornstarch. I just sprinkle it over the top of that. The next thing you're going to do is just kind of blend it together. You can use your hands if you want, or a spatula, whatever you'd like. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a couple pinches of that sesame ginger. As well as I like using a roasted red pepper spice. I'm kind of a spice girl, so I like to spice things up, especially tofu, because it doesn't have a lot of flavor. So adding a little bit flavor is actually really, really good. Now, I'm not a huge oil user. I am lowering our intake of oil. However, I do use a little bit, and this is avocado oil. And I just use a tiny bit. Just enough to give it a little bit of a mix so that the seasonings and arrowroot powder and such sticks together. Perfect. We're going to just set that aside for now. And we're also going to now work on our sweet potatoes. So again, I've already pre-portioned the sweet potatoes. You want to cut them in chunks like this. The same thing, throw them in a bowl. Had one escape. Again, a little bit of oil, not much. I'm going to put probably a few more on this one with the sesame ginger spice, as well as a little more of that roasted red pepper spice. If you are good with spices and you want to add another flavor to your bowl, totally, you go ahead and do that. I do use my hands a lot, but you don't have to. So just blend it up really well, a little bit of that oil on it. Not a lot of oil, guys, especially if you're trying to lower your consumption of oil. And my motto is always good, better, best. So if you can try to buy the best oils. If you have any questions on oils, please feel free to put it down in the description and I'll give you my words of wisdom. All right, so those are done. We'll set that aside. Now I'm gonna get some pans and we're gonna set the things up to cook. Okay, so we've got our pans ready, and what I've done is just take any pan that you need that will fit the two products, the tofu and the sweet potatoes. I've got two separate pans because they do cook at different times. And I've also lined them somewhat with parchment paper, okay? So on the first one, we're gonna do the tofu first because it actually takes 20 to 25 minutes. And you're just going to basically spread it out. I just kind of separate them so that they're not cooking together and they can all get nice and crispy. If it doesn't look like there's quite enough oil on it, because I don't use very much, you can also just take and just lightly drizzle a little oil over it, okay? So let's set that one aside for just a second. And we're gonna do the same thing to the sweet potatoes. Again, spread out. We just want them to have their own little room while they're cooking. They look like they're plenty oiled enough. Great, so we're gonna get these in the oven. Again, the tofu is gonna cook for about 20 to 25 minutes on 450, and the sweet potatoes are gonna cook about 16 to 18 minutes. Okay, so I put my cabbage and my edamame beans together, so that's a 1/2 cup of cabbage and a 1/2 cup of edamame beans. I've also put about 2 tablespoons of water in my pan. Again, if you need to use oil, do what you need to do. If your food begins to stick a little bit with just the water, feel free to add a little bit more water, that's okay. We just want to saute these for about 2 to 3 minutes until the cabbage is a little translucent. Again, we don't want it soggy. I like a little crunch in my salad. So we'll just let that saute for 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so this has been cooking for about 2 to 3 minutes. The purple cabbage is just translucent, as you can see, so it's looking pretty good. It's probably still got a little bit of a crunch to it. So I'm going to let that sit that for a few minutes. I'm also going to check my rice. Woohoo, the rice is done, yes. As well, the crispy tofu and the potatoes are done. So if you can see that, they're nice and crispy. That's the potatoes and the tofu. There's the tofu. And basically, shouldn't be able to press on them, right? Just enough, but not too hard. So tofu, when you cook it, bake it like that, you want to make sure that you don't leave it out for too long or it's going to get really hard, okay? We'll set these aside for now. All right, so the next part is the most exciting part. We get to put it all together. Okay, for the magical moment. So the one thing that I didn't do was add that remaining amount of vinegar. And you just want to mix it with your rice and stir it around just a bit, okay? So to put it together, you can put it together however you'd like. I'm just going to show you how I'd put it together. You could put your rice in a little ramekin and flip it over and make it really look fancy. So then we're going to add some sweet potatoes. We're going to add some tofu. Then I'm just using my hands. We're going to add some greens and purple cabbage. I'm going to add a little more tofu, a little more sweet potatoes, kind of blend it out a little bit, make it look all nice and pretty. Then I'm going to add these lovely avocados on top. Add as many as you want. Depends. I'm an avocado-holic, so I could eat a lot of these. I just want to place them on there nicely. That's good for now. Okay. Then I'm going to add a little bit more of that sesame. It adds such a nice kick to your meal. I'm going to sprinkle with some green onions. And I'm also going to put a little more tamari sauce on it. You don't have to add any if you don't want to, whatever you would like. And I also just do a little touch of salt and I'd say a little touch of pepper, but it's actually a touch of pepper because I'm kind of a pepperaholic. All right. All right, now we're going to check out the meal. Okay, for the final touches, if you have your dressing in the jar, just shake it up a little bit. If it's in the bowl, just whisk it. And we're going to drizzle this just over the top of it. You can always add more, but we're going to drizzle a little drizzle there. Perfect. Well, let's bite into this. Lots of different flavors. Wow. That's really good. Tastes like a sushi roll. I hope that you guys make this recipe. If you did, leave a comment below. Tell me what you think about it or ask me a question. And until then, see you in the kitchen.
So that's the end of today's show. Thanks so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if you made this recipe or if you have a plant-based nutrition question. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell so you don't miss any videos from Let's Eat Healthy. See you next week.